Okay, we're here. All right, good evening, everyone. Let's call this meeting to order. Please join me for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll begin with public audience. John?
Joan Code 26 Whitcomb Drive. We, the people of Simsbury, pay taxes to Simsbury in order for the government to provide services for the town. It is a taxpayer who pays the employee's salary, and therefore the employees work for the taxpayers. One of the tools the residents have when the government does not represent their views is to address the governing body in a public forum. Expressing views that are not politically correct or might offend others is part of the democratic process. I would urge more people to use public audience to express their concerns in a public forum. At the November 25th, 2019 Board of Selectmen meeting, Police Commissioner Mike Long and Mike Yankee, allegedly a political shill from New York, spoke in public audience to question my comments at public audience. However, all of my comments were verified by town documents, agendas, and minutes of meetings. I stand behind all of my comments while this assault on my integrity is just an orchestrated attempt to kill the messenger. Truth will always prevail. On November 25th, 2019, there was a Personnel Subcommittee meeting to hear a grievance hearing. Grievant Robin Newton, Administrative Professional Employee, represented by CSEA. The hearing was televised by SCTV and can be seen on Simsbury television. During the hearing, the attorneys for the town and the union debated whether Robin Newton's grievance was substantiated or dismissed. The members of the Personnel Subcommittee, Selectmen John Askham and First Selectman Eric Wilman, voted to dismiss the grievance and terminate Robin Newton. The union attorney stated that Robin Newton fulfilled all the requirements needed to promote her to full status as assistant town planner. The union attorney stated that the investigation was biased and part of retaliation for questioning the special treatment of Janelle Mullen as a past Mansfield employee and zoning enforcement official. It was brought out that Robin Newton was not given progressive discipline, leading to her termination. The termination was predicated on the internal investigation that has been referenced at several meetings that Town Manager Maria Caprioli has not shared with the public under attorney-client privilege. The narrative for termination was determined by an internal investigation that Town Manager Maria Caprioli has accepted as truth and that has been challenged by the Director of Planning, Robin Newton's immediate supervisor. The Director of Planning refuted most of the findings with glowing reports on Robin Newton's professionalism. As the Personnel Subcommittee reviewed the internal investigation, the Director of Planning comments before coming to the conclusion that Robin Newton should be terminated. Why has Janelle Mullen's comments been given more weight than the town planner? Once these findings are presented before a fair and impartial arbiter, Robin Newton will return as Simsbury's assistant town planner. As a result of my Freedom of Information request, I reviewed all the interview tapes associated with Chief Bolter's internal investigation of Sergeant Jason Trombley that is posted on the internet. After reviewing the tapes, it appears that Chief Bolter is consumed with the idea that Jason Trombley audio-taped a conversation that he, Chief Bolter, said that Bolter would like to have some officers not work or go someplace else. Chief Bolter was concerned that his conversation was discussed with other officers that Chief Bolter considered malicious gossip. The officers witnessed that both Sergeant Corcoran and Sergeant Conley received reprimands from Chief Bolter, leading to another grievance for these officers. Alleged officers have received disciplinary actions, and an officer was on administrative leave pending a mental health assessment. There remains an internal investigation on Sergeant Corcoran, allegedly for his interaction with a town employee that led to the employee being placed on administrative leave for medical reasons. Officers knowing under the culture that under this culture, there was a target on their backs. Their only recourse was to vote overwhelmingly for no confidence. On Tuesday, November 25th at 1 p.m., Town Manager Maria Capriola conducted a meeting to discuss the no confidence vote. In attendance was Edwin Kaczynski Jr., IBPO National Representative, Chief Bolter, Commissioners Mike Long and Ed Cosgrove, Officer Gray, Gary Gray, Union President, and Sergeant T-Ball were present for the union. It is alleged that Officer Gray and Sergeant T-Ball, representing the union, were asked to leave the meeting since Town Manager Capriola was not interested in their input, and they remained in the hall during discussions. Town Manager Maria Capriola would rather listen to appointed commissioners, Mike Long and Ed Cosgrove, than hear the reason behind the no confidence of the union representative. Sergeant Tomlin will eventually return to work. The environment in the police department remains toxic, and the only recourse is to have Chief Bolter resign his position so that the police department can continue on a path to excellence under new leadership. All of my comments will be posted on Simsbury Patch, Twitter at Joan Co., and Newsfeed on Facebook. Thank you for listening.
Anybody else in the public audience tonight? Okay. We'll move on to Selectmen action first. I'd like to welcome our returning members back, and Wendy and Jackie, welcome to the board. The first, and that includes Chris.
Yes, thank you.
We're glad you're here. Again. Item A is the appointment of Deputy First Selectman. The town charter gives the First Selectman the authority to appoint a deputy to serve as the acting First Selectman in my absence, and I'm pleased to appoint Sean Hascom. Sean is the longest member serving of this board, beginning his 5th term as a member. Sean has and continues to serve as chair of the Public Safety Subcommittee, the Personnel Subcommittee, not as chair, as a member, liaison to our Board of Finance and Police Commission, among others, and he brings an experience and perspective that I value highly, so I appreciate you being here, Sean.
Thank you, Eric.
Item B is adopting the Board of Selectmen rules and procedures. In your packets are the rules and procedures that were used previously for at least 2 terms, but certainly predated me. And I wanted to recommend tonight that we adopt these rules as is, but also make a referral to the Personnel Subcommittee. I think it's always a healthy process to review our processes, and that's something that we've done, many times in this new form of government. So this would just be putting a fresh eyes on those and seeing if there are any changes that we would recommend. So I just wanted to open that up for discussion.
No problem with it. I think it'd be a good idea.
Okay. Are there any feedback on the rules as is? Okay. Is there a motion effective December 5th, 2019 to approve the attached Board of Selectmen rules and procedures?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. And is there a motion effective December 5th, 2019 to refer the Board of Selectmen rules and procedures to the Personnel Subcommittee for review?
Move that.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Item C is the Board of Selectmen 2020 regular meeting schedule. Wendy made a good early catch on one of the dates. So it says in there, rather than September 18th, which is a Friday, I think we would be meeting on September 28th. Did I get that right? Okay. And the other one I just wanted to open up for discussion was the meeting on April 13th, which is during school vacation week, and that's a week we've previously struggled to get a quorum.
Correct.
So
I'm not there, so, but.
I wanted to propose that if we met the previous Monday, it would be the first Monday in April, but it would still be 2 weeks after our last meeting, so that could be an option.
I would agree with that, because that's right in the heart of budget season. We probably need that meeting more than other. So I'd rather see it kept on the calendar somehow.
Okay, so that would be, I think that's April 6th then, that we would be meeting. Were there any other dates that anyone had feedback on? No? Okay. So, is there a motion effective December 5th, 2019 to approve the Board of Selectmen 2020 regular meeting schedule with those 2 changes?
So moved.
Second.
Any further conversation?
I might as well second it.
Okay.
You guys are too
You
fast.
gotta get in on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Item D is the appointment of board and commission liaison assignments. So that's another thing that the town charter gives the first selectman the authority to appoint members to various subcommittees and to serve as liaisons to our other boards and commissions. The assignments are in your packet, and what I shared with these folks, and I'll share with you, my intent in putting these together is to align people as best I can with people's interests and expertise, while also giving strong preference to seniority who's held a particular position previously. Item E is one that I need to recuse myself from.
Let's see this. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is amend the agenda. When we changed to the form of government, we also included a stipend for the first select person. This was an important condition because there are costs associated with the role. While it's not compensation directly for the role, again, mailings or other office supplies. Again, there's a number of items that we've seen that are pertinent to this role. Traditionally, we budgeted $10,000. That was what we had in the previous year. We had budgeted in the last budget $10,000 again. And again, this is a per year stipend for the first select person. So see a motion before you. Is there any questions on that? Discussion? Need for clarification? Everybody familiar with that?
Yeah.
This is an item that we did discuss in personnel. Off-term, Eric recused himself from that, and Chris Kelly and I discussed it with the council and the town manager, and we felt that number continued to be appropriate. At any time, if we feel it's out of line, both upward or downward, we can revisit that in the personnel subcommittee vote. So, with that, I'll entertain a motion effective December 5th, 2019, to approve the first selectman's annual stipend in the amount of $10,000.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Bring the first selectman back, please.
Really sorry, Eric.
Long temporary.
Thank you, guys. Item F is the appointment of town council, labor and employment council, pension council, and bond council. It's the town manager's recommendation that we continue our relationship with the firms that we're currently engaged with. She's pleased with their work. Is there anything you wanted to add, Maria?
Sorry. Excuse me. No, I would just echo that I found the firms that we're currently working with to provide quality service, responsive service. I think their public sector rates that they're providing to us are quite reasonable, particularly for the level of service that we are receiving. Our practice has been for our special counsel to appoint them at the same time as general counsel. However, the charter does only technically require the appointment of general counsel this evening. But just to keep with tradition, we've prepared motions for you this evening that would include the appointment of our special counsel in addition to general counsel.
Are there any questions? Is there a motion effective December 5th, 2019 to reappoint the firm of Updike, Kell & Spell, CPC as the town attorney, Ford Harrison LLP as labor and employment counsel, Martha Kalina LLP as pension counsel, and Dave Pitney LLP as bond counsel for the town of Simsbury for a 2-year term through December 6th, 2021, pursuant to section 706 of the town charter, and for town manager Maria Capriola to execute the engagement letters?
So moved.
Second.
Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Item G, the Board of Education negotiates their own contracts with their labor groups. In your packets tonight are 2 tentative agreements that cover the next 3 fiscal years between the Board of Ed and the Simsbury Education Association, and the next 4 fiscal years between the Simsbury School Administrators and Supervisors Association. Our options tonight, so this is something that is negotiated by the Board of Ed. By statute, it's something that the Board of Selectmen needs to either approve. If we do nothing, it will take effect in 30 days, or we could reject and it goes to binding arbitration. So I wanted to see if there were any questions or conversation tonight. Okay. Is there a motion effective December 5th, 2019, to approve the 3-year contract between the Simsbury Board of Education and the Simsbury Education Association as approved at the November 12th, 2019 Board of Education meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And is there a motion effective December 5, 2019 to approve the 4-year contract between the Simsbury Board of Education and the Simsbury School Administrators and Supervisors Association as approved at the November 12, 2019 Board of Ed meeting?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Item H is an item from the Simsbury Meadows Performing Arts Center. We've been in the process of negotiating a new operating agreement for the Performing Arts Center and the town. The current agreement expires at the end of the year, and there are a small number of items where the town manager is looking for our input and hopefully consensus from us tonight with the idea that we would ratify the full contract at our next meeting on December 16th. There are 4 items in particular, and I thought I would, just for discussion purposes, take the first 2 together because they involve certain fee waivers. So the first is that the Performing Arts Center is requesting, we waive the lining fee in the parking lot, so it's a dirt parking lot, it's lined before the major concerts. This is something that would save the Performing Arts Center about $1,800 annually. And the second is the town-sponsored police rate, which currently applies to all, it's not being applied to all events at the Performing Arts Center. It's being applied to the concerts, but there was an item of clarification that was needed. When our board or the previous Board of Selectmen voted a number of months ago to give them the town-sponsored rate, did we intend to give it to them for everything at the Performing Arts Center or just the larger concerts? So let's start the conversation there.
Yeah, I mean, I very much supportive of having a consistent rate, especially considering we're talking about our Simsbury-based nonprofits here. We should not be assessing them a higher police rate. So I'm very comfortable with having a consistent rate down there, and I would imagine that's much easier for performing arts folks to manage and market. And there's really no good explanation as to why we'd be charging the chamber one rate and a promoter a different rate. That doesn't seem to make sense.
The way that I've always looked at the Performing Arts Center philosophically and the level of town support is that you're doing, and I'm looking at Linda Schofield, the chair of their board, is they're doing a service that the town used to do and would have to do in your absence. So we have a lot of interest in ensuring your success. And this is, a relatively modest dollar value when you think about what the town would be losing, but it would be a lot for you as a small nonprofit organization to fundraise the difference. So I am supportive of both waiving the lining and giving you the town-sponsored rate for your events.
I would agree. I think these are really events that benefit the community on many levels, and I think is a good and fair thing to do.
I think it's worth stating for the record that, so you know, at least from the board members who are here who voted on it, that I clearly interpreted at the time when I voted to support that rate, that it would be inclusive of such events that have been brought to our attention. So this is completely in line with what the original intent to support that rate was, as well as the line. I think we take it one step further, though. I think either it's this contract or future contracts where we do try to put some teeth into what is an event that's not defined as being a back involved event at whatever level it is, so that that organization who comes in is clear in what their costs may be if they use that facility. And I don't know what those events are, because I don't track them, but if there is such a thing, we should in the future.
Jackie?
I didn't remember that.
Okay.
And I was not here, obviously, for the
Sure.
first votes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's the town, crown jewel of the town.
I think that's helpful feedback, Maureen. Okay. The other was allowing public gathering permits. So there are a lot of public gathering permits that come from the Performing Arts Center. And one of the items of discussion is, can they be approved at the staff level for repeat events? Obviously, if an event had a substantive change or a new event, that would still come to the Board of Selectmen. I wanted to see how others felt about that.
That's fine. I mean, we don't need to have the Rotary race or whoever come in every single time and it's the same event. Would this still facilitate or allow if the applicant didn't agree with the conditions to come to the board for a decision? Meaning we had a debate a couple of years ago about the closure of certain roads, and the public gathering permit was in question because the residents were complaining, and we were comfortable with granting that. I don't want anybody to get an undue burden placed upon them in the public gathering permit and have no recourse for a final decision from us as a result of this change.
I have total faith that Maria, if there's an issue, will bring it to
If
you.
there are conditions, I think.
It's not a question of Maria, but there's a lot of power to folks other than Maria in this process.
You could have language about that.
Just I want to make sure that there's recourse, that if somebody disagrees with the permit, they still have some place to
Sure,
appeal it to.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah.
I would see that, and I would also see if there were an issue that someone had that got raised, that we have the ability to address that issue. I can't think of what it would be, but it could be much like the people who felt the road closure was a burden put upon them, or something wasn't closed and it created a problem.
Yeah, again, I'm not looking to step in on this. I'm very comfortable with the administrative approval. Maria is perfectly capable of it. Just making sure that there's an outlet in case there's a debate and it's not waged in the press, it's waged where it should be, where we have a reasonable discussion.
Yeah, no, we're fine with that.
Okay. Yeah, we don't need to march you guys in here every time we're going to approve. We don't need to march the whole group in or Missy, and every time you're going to have an event.
What I would ask, if you don't mind me asking, is just to clarify, so we don't wind up with a confusion like as we did with the police, just clarify what it means that an event that has happened previously. So, for example, we have Trantolo and Trantolo coming back next year, but it won't be the Beach Boys, it'll be a different concert. We have Connecticut Ballet Fest coming back next year. It won't be the same bands, it'll be different bands. So, and who knows, maybe Willie Nelson would come back under some different promoter. So, I trust that Maria's judgment of if it's largely the same, but I don't want that to become, if it isn't exactly the same, then we have to go to you. So I just want to make sure that is comfortable for all of you. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, under the umbrella of the same event.
Yeah, I mean, they're never going to be exactly the same.
Yeah,
They're gonna
but the
be-
overall
Right.
title.
It might be the
was
same
underneath
promoter,
it.
it might be
Yeah.
the same band, as long as the situation is primarily the same group. Obviously, if it's a totally different kind of event that we've never done before, we would expect to go through the whole process.
Yeah, I think if we were expecting massively more people than attended previous events, I mean, that would be, at least in my mind, that would be a substantive change.
Yeah. And does it matter if it's, so the Rotary has a road race every year. If another organization did the same kind of thing, would that be
That's
new?
That's new.
Yeah, I would say
Okay,
that.
that's perfect. I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
All right.
And I might even put teeth into it that, I think this is like, this is driving me, now I'm driving myself. That even if it was the Rotary race, it's a good point, if the Rotary race, but it changes the sponsorship, I would suggest that you not assume that that's the same event, because, you follow me?
No, I don't.
Okay, whomever is the sponsor of the old river run.
It's the Rotary.
Okay, Rotary. Let's say the river run occurs again, but it's been named by somebody else and run by somebody else and managed by somebody else. Or if that occurs, that would to me would be a change. That would allow a new, even though it's still the river run, it is assumed to be the river run the same, but that's liability being taken by somebody else who needs to understand the conditions of what the event is.
Okay. I just wanted it to be clear. I didn't care how it was clear as long as it was
Yeah.
being clear.
I think with good communication months ahead of time, you know for the most part what these events are going to be.
Right,
Just
yeah.
getting in front of staff and saying, hey, which ones are we going to need board of selectmen approval for, which ones are repeat events, et cetera.
Right.
It would be key.
Can I
Yeah.
circle back to the police issue for 1 second? So the chamber, we haven't paid that bill yet. So this is contract language going forward, but that chamber bill is still unsettled, and it got charged at the higher rate. So would you expect that it actually should have been charged at the lower rate, given that your interpretation of your last February meeting was that it should have been?
We're meeting in 2 weeks. We're gonna meet in 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks. Why don't you discuss that with Maria, and Maria can bring it to us?
Okay.
I'm not sure we need to wait that long, Mike. I mean, it doesn't feel, if other folks agree, but we never intended to charge the chamber
okay.
more money than we have done
Yeah.
for proper
Thank you.
promoter. I don't think.
I think we got changed.
Yeah.
I think that changed.
Okay. I just, I don't want to make them wait because that bill's got to get paid. They gotta
Yeah,
pay that
that's
bill.
true.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks for this.
And I wanted to just understand Chris's point about the police. Something about events at the Performing Arts Center that don't contract with the Performing Arts Center.
I was in the future, at some point in the future, if there's an event in the PAC that is not, something
Yeah.
we let another organization use that. Let's say that we allow the symphony to do something on their own there that's exclusive of our involvement, then I would think that there's value in being clear in the contract that's written up that organizations that come to use that facility that are not sponsored by the PAC organizations, or they may pay a higher rate, just so.
Yeah,
Is that not necessary?
so just to be clear, and I defer to Greg here, but so there is language in the contract that during the season, and let me introduce Greg Pietzi, who's been my partner here. He's on our board also. Instrumental, yes. Instrumental in working on this contract. He can interrupt me if you'd like, but the contract provides that during the season, we have exclusive use, other than the town, we have exclusive use of the facility. So the chance of anybody else coming along and using it is really zero. Would you agree with that, Greg? Other than the town, unless we agreed to it, everything would go through us.
Yeah, I mean, anything involving the band shell,
Right.
the Performing Arts Center is essentially an exclusive on during the season, which is, I call it April.
From May to November.
May to November.
All right, I'll withdraw my comment.
Okay.
No, but the point is, if somebody's doing something in the winter,
Yeah,
if somebody just wants to use the
Right.
fields,
yeah. Then that's,
it potentially might happen, and the points will
yeah,
take.
if the soccer people came along, for example, and were, then, yeah.
I think the final item that Maria was looking for feedback on was the waiving of local building and land use application fees. So I think the proposal would be that it would, these fees would automatically be waived for any Board of Selectmen approved capital projects at the PAC. Which again, is something we do anyway.
Just saves us coming to every meeting. And
I'm fine with it, but can we do that? Or don't we, I mean, does the statutes permit us to preemptively? The whole rationale is that Bob Peterson and I sort of bandied about with others is that at the end of the day, if you're doing a building permit, for example, application to do something on town-owned land, it's town-owned land, it's a town-owned improvement. It's capital item the town-owned. So generally, if the town were, for example, going to go build something over at Simsbury Farms, the town would not be paying itself application fee for a building permit. And it's much the same here. If we go and do fundraising, we make a gift to the town and go build something, at the end of the day, the town is improving its own property. So it's not so much you have a third-party independent nonprofit making an application. Really, what's happening is the town is the one that's making either that zoning application or a building application. So practically, is that what's happening? The town is pulling the application and signing it?
Right, so generally on some permits, I would give a signatory, and that's exactly, the point that Bob and all of us had discussed is at the end of the day, we own that infrastructure and that becomes our infrastructure. And we've been, I think, doing a really good and improved job of making sure that we are in fact pulling permits, but much of those permits I would be the signatory on because it's our property.
Sure, I agree.
Makes sense.
Yeah, again, I have no issue with it, just make sure legally right people are signing the forms.
Okay. Were there any other items, Maria, that you needed our feedback on, or anything that Linda wanted to add?
No, I think those were probably some of the most significant changes, and we do plan to bring a revised agreement to you for review at your next meeting.
Okay. Great.
Well, thank you very much, and I do want to, I'm sure you know this guy.
Jerry, what did me out of there?
But I want to thank Jerry and Joe Beal, who's the chair of the chamber, and Joe Beal, who's the president of the Rotary Club, for coming as well. They obviously had a big interest in the police issue, and I know all of us are very appreciative of your help with that.
We're trying, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, we appreciate it.
Can I just say also that we've had a good negotiation process with Maria and Eric and Sean and Chris a little bit before that, and we really appreciate your spirit of collaboration and good work together. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Likewise, thank you.
Appreciate what you guys do.
All right. So our scribe over there will get you what you need.
Your attorney will call our. Good night, thank you.
Take care. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
See you guys. Thank you.
The Friends of Simsbury Farms and the Simsbury Farms Men's Club are each donating $4,200 for the purchase of a greens roller that will be used in the golf course. We need to accept any gift that's over $1,500. Is there a motion effective December 5th, 2019 to accept the monetary donations of $4,200 from the Friends of Simsbury Farms and $4,200 from the Simsbury Farms Men's Club to help offset the total cost of a greens roller purchase?
Second.
That motion carries. Item J in your packets are some recommended changes to the job description of the mechanic foreman at the Water Pollution Control Authority. These proposed changes have been reviewed over the summer by the Personnel Subcommittee and the Appropriate Union. This proposed change comes with an annual cost of about $5,000. And it would come out of the WPCA budget, which is managed in a self-sustaining fund, which is in a strong position. Maria, is there anything you'd like to add on this item?
Sure, so this would not be adding to the overall number of positions at the WPCA. It would be reclassifying an existing position to this particular new classification. I do think that it will make for some organizational improvements in structure. And I know that the WPCA would be incredibly appreciative if we were able to move forward with this proposed restructuring.
Are there any questions?
I would just note that this is one of the rare 40-hour positions that we deal with, which is nice to see, versus the 35.
Agreed. Okay. Is there a motion effective December 5th, 2019 to approve the new classification of mechanics foreman and to place this position at grade T9 of the AFSCME employee pay plan, and further to approve the job description as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Moving on to appointments and resignations, item A is an appointment of a Board of Selectmen member to the Debt Policy Work Group. So this was a work group that we previously appointed Chris Kelly to. He's no longer on the board, and Chris Peterson has agreed to serve in his place. Is there a motion effective December 5th, 2019 to appoint Chris Peterson to the Debt Policy Work
I'll
Group?
move that.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Item B is the short-term rental ordinance work group appointments. So we recently formed a work group to draft an ordinance that would create a legal path for short-term rentals in Simsbury on sites such as Airbnb. We currently have slots in the work group for 2 members of this board and 1 each from zoning, economic development, and tourism. And I recently received a request from the chair of the Planning Commission that they would also like to be part of the work group. So if the board is supportive, we would add a position to the work group. And second, it was suggested that Jackie Battles replace Sean Askin as a representative of the Board of Selectmen to that group. I assume, John, you're supportive and aware of that decision?
Absolutely. I mean, Jackie was a big part of talking about this issue on the zoning commission, and I think her expertise would help very much in crafting the proper ordinance. So,
Thank you.
Right. Is there a motion effective December 5th, 2019, to increase the total membership of the short-term rental ordinance work group from 5 to 6 members by adding a slot for a member of the planning commission? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. And is there a motion effective today, December 5th, 2019, to appoint the recommended members of the short-term rental ordinance work group, Jackie Bados from the Board of Selectmen and Holly Dent from the Planning Commission?
So moved.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Item C is an appointment of Cheryl Cook to the 350th Anniversary Steering Committee. Cheryl's been chairing that committee already, and I've been appreciative of the fact that she's agreed to continue in that role, but that would require us to increase the membership of that committee, since she previously held a spot that was reserved for this board. I will see if there's a motion effective December 5th, 2019, to increase the total membership of the 350th Anniversary Steering Committee from 17 members to 18 voting members by adding a slot for a community member.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. And is there a motion effective December 5th, 2019, to appoint Cheryl Cook to the 350th Anniversary Steering Committee as a community member with a term ending on December 31st, 2020?
move that.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you.
Sure, thanks, absolutely. There's also now an opening on that committee that a member of this board can fill, so if anyone is interested in that, please let me know. Any other business before we adjourn? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Go Simsbury, tomorrow night, Newtown.
It's exciting.
Ooh,
Come on,
very
my
nice.
let's go.
Thanks, everyone.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.